David, why don't you read your what you are bringing in today?
Okay, I have two quotations for you this week. And the first one is from James Joyce Ulysses.
Oh.
And it relates to Marty, who loves to go out and walk in the rain. I don't know what the heck he's thinking of, but that's what he said. But James Joyce, who is also here, he writes, ever he would wander self-compelled to the extreme limit of his cometary orbit, beyond the fixed stars and variable suns and telescopic planets, astronomical waifs and strays, to the extreme boundary of space, passing from land to land, among peoples, amid events. Somewhere imperceptibly, he would hear and somehow reluctantly, sun-compelled, obey the summons of recall, whence, disappearing from the constellation of the Northern Crown, which, by the way, we've been watching very carefully lately, he would somehow reappear reborn above Delta in the constellation of Cassiopeia, and after incalculable eons of preregination, return an estranged avenger, a wrecker of justice and malefactors, a dark crusader, a sleeper awakened, with financial resources by supposition surpassing those of Rothschild or the Silver King. That's the first one. The second one I think you're more familiar with. It is Psalm 19, but it's kind of rewritten by an old friend of mine, Peter Collins, and it goes like this. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night revealeth knowledge, so long as the sky is clear. Thank you, Marty. And back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, let me read our opening prayer and then we can get started. I'll read it in English today. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. You have sanctified us through your commandments and commanded us to busy ourselves in things of Torah. Amen. And it's just very a whole series of things that we're looking forward to today. And we're going to spend a little extra time on this subject only because it's so near and dear to everyone. So what I'm going to do is if someone would care to read Deuteronomy 16, verses 18 through the end of 20.
20?
Yes.
Okay, 16?
No, 18.
Oh, 18.
18 to the end of 20.
Okay.
It's a very quick reading.
It's what? Very
It's
quickly?
a very quick reading.
Yeah. Well, when I'm reading, it's really not that quick, but you shall appoint magistrates and officials for your tribes and all the settlements that the Lord your God is giving you. And they shall govern the people with due justice. You shall not judge unfairly. You shall show no partiality. You shall not take bribes, for bribes blind the eye of the discerning and upset the plea of the just. Justice shall you pursue, that you may thrive and occupy the land that the Lord your God is giving you.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
would like to
Hi, Lynn. Welcome back. Rabbi, hi. And John, welcome back.
I would like to do something before we open the discussion. And this comment is directed mostly at Michael, but to all of you if you like. On my picture, you might be able to notice there's a little side on the upper right, which was a cat that I used to have. And it's devoted to Michael because this is the official Temple Beth Shalom Judaism religious Torah study cat. And but the interesting thing about this cat, and that's what relates to you, Michael, is that whenever I wanted to see him, all I had to do was to sit down at the piano and start to play. Within a minute, this little cat would be on my lap and drooling. And I just loved it. And it was such a wonderful, wonderful thing. We did it together for years. And I miss this cat very much.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you for
Sophie.
that.
Thank you.
Norman, Shabbat Shalom to you too.
Shabbat Shalom. I just sent a message. I apologize, but I need to respond to an important email. So excuse me for a few moments,
I
and
understand.
then I'll be back.
Okay.
Marty, I just have my usual question. What page are we on?
Okay, 1456.
Thank you.
1456?
Yes. Well, that's in Plout. That's in Plout's commentary on Torah.
Oh,
It is Deuteronomy 16. We just finished reading verses 18 through the end of 20.
Oh, I see.
Oh, this, as we've mentioned in the past, uh, uh, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, may she rest in peace. Uh, she um, she had this phrase from Torah on her desk uh, all of her life. Justice, justice shall you pursue. So this is a very this passage to her was very meaningful, and we're going to discuss it sort of at length, only because there are different ways of looking at this. And so, before we and the rest of the passage will go into some of that, but I thought it would be interesting to hear what the rabbis have to say, and I also brought in some sermons from other rabbis on this subject, because there have been different meanings applied to this. So the first thing is, let us discuss verse 18, and we'll build up to it, and by that time other people may tune in. Any comments about verse 18?
It's this justice shall I pursue.
Well, that's not verse 18.
Oh, just the 18.
Just 18. Just 18. I don't want to gloss over the rest of it. So if you shall appoint magistrates and officials for your tribes in all the settlements that your Lord your God is giving you, and they shall govern the people with due justice.
Okay.
So comments about that first.
So I'm interested in the phrase,
It's okay. We will probably have to, in the course of the discussion, gravitate, to verse 20. But why is it important that that people who govern the Israelites are going to have to use due justice?
that was my question.
Oh, okay. Why is
Yeah.
that important?
The idea,
What is,
okay, I think the idea This is my
Okay.
second favorite justice of all the justices, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, having this verse 18 in her office is something I never knew before until today. And it's wonderful. But she is my second favorite justice. Would you believe that my actual favorite justice happened to be Ruth Bader Ginsburg and a Reagan appointee? And I thought, oh my goodness. And I started jumping out of the windows and things like that in anger. But when I met Ruth Bader Ginsburg in Phoenix one day, we had this long conversation, and I just really fell in love with her and what she stood for. And so she turned out to be my favorite, and maintained a very good email communication for many years after that.
Very good. Very good. I think that she had a slightly different understanding of the law because of her Orthodox religion. And she held this phrase to be most important for us. So, but what about why is it important? Why do the people who govern us have to perform due justice? And
Can
we've
we
read
talk
before.
about that?
Yes, Lynn, go ahead.
Can we talk about what the translation as due justice for the minute? Because the Hebrew is
Sure.
mishpat tzedek, and it's like an emphasis. Tzedek
Right.
is not just justice; it's righteousness.
Righteousness. That's right. Very important.
And so I'm sort of directing this at Rabbi Miri because she's the rabbi here, as the nuance of combining mishpat with tzedek, and if due justice is the best translation.
But are you implying that
Mary is
Oh,
you
talking,
have to define the word do?
Miri, you're muted.
muted. Yeah.
We use the word tzaddik as righteous. But you know, Lynn, that we have the shorashim, the roots, and they can move in different meanings, really meanings. There are ones that are completely the opposite when they are said in a different way with the same exact root. And it's just the completely upside down. Okay, so saying that, I think that as far as translation, probably justice is more than righteousness. How do you define righteousness?
Oh.
To me, righteousness is the container, the larger container within which justice falls into. Righteousness is righteous in a variety of actions and concerns. Righteousness is an umbrella for me. So treating, it's both community and personal.
Mhm.
So that's my English relationship to the word, to the word righteous. I don't know if it's the same in Hebrew, maybe reversed.
No, I'm thinking of the verse that I don't know if we sing it on Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, Tzadik katamar ifrach. So we said, so we said the righteous will blossom. We don't say the justice.
Right.
So that's tzaddik, which is a it can be not an adjective, an adverb, no, an adjective. Tzaddik, Adam tzaddik. Okay, and I think that tzedek is the abstract noun. It's something that puts together actually what you said. It's we say that the last of the tzad of the justice, that book. I
Andre Schwartzbach.
Right.
Thank you. It
The
says,
the 30s, the Lamed Vav, the 36 righteous.
so it's righteous. But the word tzedek, I think it's the abstracts of doing justice or justice. Justice is also an abstract noun, and tzedek is a good translation for that as an abstract noun. It's something that you can say, someone in the world can say, it's tzedek that I'll stone these women that were wearing the wrong clothing. So it's the right thing to do. It's not a righteous thing to do, but those people who said it's justice. She deserves that. I'm trying to play with this in the two because I never thought about it before. But like when we say tzedek, tzedek tirdof, justice, justice, and I don't call it pursued. I'll say you'll run after. And I don't think that pursue is running after, but which means that there is here tzedek, and you have to run because it moves.
Eat your breakfast.
Excuse me, someone?
Oh, Donna has her microphone on, and
Oh,
she's probably talking to her.
So these
Okay.
are my thinking. I think that mishpat tzedek is a justice, a right. I would say not righteousness, but right. And I'm thinking if righteousness, of course, comes from right, it's tzedek is something when the balance is balanced. These are my thinking, Lynn. I never analyzed that in my head. I know a kid that unfortunately died that decided to call himself tzaddik. And that was it's not that he was just, that he's this person of righteousness or something. Anyway, Rab Norm might say something about it, but for me it has been playing and I appreciate you bringing it up.
Excuse me. That's a good discussion, but the question really centers around a different word. Okay. The question that I asked was, what does in verse 18, what does D-U-E, what is the definition of do justice?
but Marty, that's what we were talking about. The
Yeah, that's
word for do is
Mishpat Tzedek.
mishpat.
Yeah, we don't
Yes.
have
In
do
Hebrew.
in
Yes,
Hebrew
but
there.
but there's much more to this than the way. Yes, first Michael and then Marianne.
Well, do justice, I could say, do is what is is what what is deserved, uh, deserved justice, what you you would be entitled to, whatever that entitlement is, do justice. It's like if you commit a particular crime, then do justice would fit the penalty, would fit the crime, so to speak. That's the way I'm seeing the do justice.
Okay, now that could certainly be the case. I, but the word do has other potential meanings. That is, the legal aspect is one, the law, if you will. Yes, Marianne, and then Rabbi Norman.
It kind of going along with what Michael said, that you're owed, even though you may have committed a crime, you are owed by society a certain amount of leeway to only be punished for the crime that you are being charged with, not everything that you have done in your entire life. That,
Okay.
like Mike was saying, it, the person has the right to be treated with respect, but society also has the right to compensation, to being treated with respect, to being maintained as a whole functioning unit.
Very
So,
good too.
you had said a couple of weeks ago, as we were going into this, is it for the good of the person or is it for the good of the group? And I've thought about that since you said that, and I think it's individually, it's a very interesting way to put it. What are we do? What are we not to?
Right. So
You know,
this is not an opposing argument.
oh,
It really is I would call a parallel argument. A lot of people say, it's either um, the perpetrator or the victim, nothing in between. But what you're explaining here is that the word do does have certain implications
Now,
behind when you use
excuse
that
me,
word.
Marty, where is the word do? Can you read that, please?
They're translating Mishpat Tzedek as due justice.
Right.
Which is not,
And so there's a lot more here, and this is what Lynn was getting after, and this is what Rabbi Mary was getting after. Rabbi, you were going to say something.
I just
Uh,
wanted to understand the do. Ah,
Yeah.
the other rabbi, sorry, Norm.
yeah, that's okay. And my apologies for having to leave for a moment. I once probably gave it more than once, a sermon or a class shiur, a discussion, where I proposed that tzedek is the justice or the righteous approach, the upright approach to right behavior, that comes by what should I say, by divine right, as a creature of God, whereas mishpat is the justice that comes to you or that you're entitled to, or the way certain people have been describing it, that you're entitled to as a member of society. Okay. Usually they join together. Usually they're in partnership, but every once in a while there is conflict, and so the instruction is to the magistrates, to the shoftim, to keep in mind that there are both of those factors. Okay. Now, I noticed, I don't know if anybody else has the Eitz Chaim commentary in front of them, but the Eitz Chaim commentary quotes a rabbi, I think it's Eliezer Berkovitz, who takes the exact opposite that I just said, incidentally. So I don't claim,
No.
correctness. He says that distinguishing between these terms, tzedek, he says tzedek is justice in the sense of doing the right thing in legal procedures, and
Right.
mishpat is justice as a cosmic principle, maintaining harmony in the world.
Very good.
So that's kind of the opposite of the way that I saw them. But on the
Exactly.
other hand, the dichotomy is the same and the relationship is the same. It's just which term is which.
Okay. So yes, Marianne.
hey, I think an easier way for me to understand this is both criminal and victim. or D-U-E, do justice.
Right.
Me, you,
Right.
as in
That's right.
society, are to D-O,
Right.
do justice. So I think it's also a matter of not confusing the very tiny little word do.
That's right.
It's a responsibility to both victim and criminal and society to DO justice.
Or plaintiff and defendant, things like that. So it's very it's and that isn't enough though. There's more to this. Yes, go ahead. Yes, Lynn.
I just noticed, I don't know if I've seen this before, it's probably obvious, but the word shofet and shoftim contains the root of mishpat.
Right.
Right. Right.
So like the English is confusing things because in Hebrew you keep hearing the root shoftim mishpat, but they're translating it as magistrate. And to put it into English, whereas these concepts are more tied in the Hebrew.
Hmm.
Well, magistrate is what they talk about here. The shoftims are the judges.
Judges, right.
Right. And the judges are supposed, now the judges have a list of laws that they follow. So they have to follow it as written and not doing, as we're going to see, this for the rich and this for the poor and so forth. So as Rabbi Norm was mentioning, mishpat is probably what we created like the law, but it's humans perhaps created it.
Right.
And tzedek is how it's described that it needs to be followed, that all the shoftim must judge, or whoever decides on that must follow the mishpat. And mishpat is not only the death, mishpat means also, well, that's interesting, sentence. A sentence in a book and sentence, as we say, what's the outcome of sentencing. Yeah, and Friedman talks about it as well as the differentiation. That's my feeling about it. And Norm said, tzedek is something that was given from God, which doing it with justice. Justice, as I'm going to repeat, as a person using language, is an abstract, because what is tzedek, it's a very complex, what's justice is a very complex notion. I once heard one of the best, and he was a colleague of mine in university, how that tzedek needs a component of, I cannot remember the word in English, please help me out. Not pity, the other word, rachamim.
Compassion.
Compassion, exactly. So in order to do tzedek, you need to have compassion. And at that moment, that mishpat, that sentence might be different. Because if someone steals to feed their children, it's not really judged as stealing. There is another component in the tzedek, in the justice to perform. I
That's
like
a
that a
good way
lot.
of putting it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Lynn.
Another complication is that this society in which
Hmm.
this discussion is arising from is of that the people who were the shoftim and the people who came before them were much closer community than, say, we are with our court system. Like, it's very, very possible that the judge would know at least some of the people, or have
Sure.
or be part of an extended family. It was a much closer community. And the challenge is, like, how we act righteously with other people in our community, and whether we are judgmental about their behavior and what the consequences are in the personal realm is
Mhm.
different from the legal realm. So this is sort of pointing out that you have to take yourself out of your personal knowledge of the family or the individual and put yourself in the legal framework, not the personal framework, when you make a decision as to what the consequences will be. And I think that's very difficult. You
It
have
is.
to make that switch.
Very good. Very good. Yes, Rabbi.
Adding to the difficulty, and I think Lynn is very correct there, but we've been talking only of the judges, the shoftim.
Right.
There are
Right.
also the shotrim,
Right.
we translate here as magistrates, but
Mhm.
again, throughout history and into modern Israel, that's the police force.
ICE.
Okay.
Sorry.
Those are the immediate authority figures that interact with the people day by day, as opposed to the judges who physically, we just imagine, physically they're up on a dais, they're up removed one step. Whether the officers or the magistrates are interacting on a more daily basis, and much closer than what Lynn was talking about. But
So,
it's the same principles have to apply to
oh
their
yeah,
work.
very good. All very good. Yes, John.
Are we sort of in a different way trying to say that the shofim must take into consideration extenuating circumstances, whereas
Hmm.
the magistrate might not. The magistrate may be dealing to the letter of the law, whereas the shofim would deal with not only the letter of the law but the spirit of the law. Is that a fair?
But if we
Yes, it is.
translate Shoftim as magistrates,
Yes. As a matter of fact, it is. Uh, the closest I think that this reminds me of Les Miserables.
Okay.
It deals with this very issue. What is justice? And it starts out that Jean Valjean is a criminal. He's escaped from a prison ship. Why? Because he stole a loaf of bread to feed his family. Okay? So we're covering this. It's all covered in this book. And the story then deals with, well, what is justice in this situation?
that's exactly
And
what I said, Marty.
exactly, but that is the reason that book is read so much, because there is no definitive answer. Yes.
Uh, One thing that it's my belief is that we establish a law because it was not followed before. We put lights in the streets. I mean, the red
Yes.
the traffic lights in the street because
Mhm.
people before were going all whatever. So the establishment of a law comes to resolve something that was not happening. So one way it could be what Lynn said, the society that decide.
Mhm.
Then there are cultures that have this as justice. And in my mind, they were established to resolve a situation that was not followed.
Thank you, Michael.
Can I mention my perspective on righteous?
Sure.
Uh, that's a righteous person. It's the word, the way I see it in just basic, simple terms, if I may. The righteous are the actions and the behaviors of people. And One could do an act of kindness and decency, but then another one could do something along those lines, but do it on a higher level. Do something that's extraordinary in a way. And so that kind of raises the bar in my the way I look at it as a righteous person, because they went a couple of steps above and beyond what they could have done, whatever that is. I've been trying to think of an example. I just can't get there.
Okay. But what you say is good. Yeah.
Mm.
And the one other thing is the word society.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with this society. He paid his debt to society. I'm not sure if I would completely agree with that. It's to me, it's about paying a debt to a person or a group that was wronged by an individual,
Mm-hmm.
not the society, but that's too easy. But and that and that would bring me to this, and if I can bring it in today's standards for a moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just as a quick example, because I know David has had his hand up for a long time too, Michael.
Okay, just quickly, what I want to say.
You wanted to
Oh yeah, there can be a
an example.
technicality. There can be a technicality in the law which will get somebody completely exonerated, off, dismissed.
Mhm.
So you could, there's a lot of variables here. But thank you, Marty.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Yes, David.
Yeah, there are two things. First of all, about Michael, and that is going back to Schindler's List, where they say that he who saves a single life
Is
saves the
righteous.
world entire. And that's directly related to what you were just saying. The other comment has to do with what our very wise Marty said a few minutes ago about Jean Valjean. And that to me goes all the way back to the very opening lines of A Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And it just struck me so directly and hard. I wanted to share that with all of you.
Okay. Well, you're welcome. But no, I want, for those of you who are familiar with the story of Les Miserables, if you never read the classic, that's okay. If you saw the play or a movie about the book, that's okay too, because you'll see the interplay. You have the inspector who is the letter of the law, okay? And yet you have the priest, and you have other individuals are pointing out areas where you have to give extra thought to this, the reasons behind a decision, and it becomes and it's much more complicated, and in the end, Jean Valjean he's successful. He gives away a lot of his money to charity and everything, which is also in our discussion. We've covered charity too, because, right? You have a tzedakah box at home sometimes, and that's to give, and it's said to give to the poor. So is the box justice or just, or are you being just? Okay. Anyway, go ahead, Rabbi Mary.
In Hebrew, we use righteous as tzaddikim for the non-Jews that help Jews
Mm-hmm.
during the Holocaust. So, and we give a special honor and so forth. And that's where we use righteous, not
Right.
justice.
Exactly.
It's I think that Michael said it's above and beyond just following the law.
So now I have to ask another question. We've spoken about the different justices that man has to contend with. Okay. Is there a heavenly justice?
Yes.
Give me an example.
Well, doing something in secret do something that's improper where no one sees it, but you're doing it, and that would be because God sees it.
Okay. That's one. Such as a charitable donation, things like that. No name attached to it. That's better than if your name is attached to it.
And the
Uh,
other thing is going all the way back to the second commandment, where God is saying that if you love justice, I will forgive to the thousandth generation of them that love me and keep my commandments. The love part is important, but obeying the law and obeying the spirit of the law, I think is even more so.
yes, and that parallels what John was saying. So any other comments? Uh, there are certain things, rules of halacha. Uh, shouldn't eat pork. Why?
Great question.
Because God said it so. So do pigs have a special dispensation?
Well, it's your decision, Marty.
No,
I
I'm just
must
saying,
say.
that's why I bring
No,
it up
it's
as an
yeah,
example.
because halacha was done by rabbis.
Mm-hmm.
So if you believe that they channel a
It's
higher level, that's
mm-hmm.
Marty, I'm really pondering your question about divine justice, but my
Okay.
mind went off onto the side interpretation that and they pick it up with that which times God is referred to as with the tetragrammaton with the four Hebrew letters, and which time it's Elohim or related to El or El Alad. And sometimes they say, well, this is the God of mercy and compassion, and this
Right.
is the God of justice, incorrectly translated as God, the God of vengeance. Incidentally, that's incorrectly translated, but.
Right.
I don't remember, at least in the Hebrew, they're ever referring to that as the side of God or the God attribute of tzedek. Uh, okay, of mishpat,
Right.
yes,
That's for us.
yes,
Right.
yeah, yeah. If we're saying that mishpat, that however we want to understand it, that's justice, as opposed to righteousness, just to make a
Mm-hmm.
semantic differential. That kind of justice is an attribute of God, then absolutely it should be imposed upon and expected of human beings, and especially those of the Israelite persuasion.
Okay. There
Mhm.
are other examples I could come up with. I know
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lynn
yeah.
and
But
Michael
again,
have their hands up, but
by definition, if it's an attribute of God, we can only give examples. We can't
right,
truly comprehend it.
right. That's what I
Right.
wanted to
We
come
can
out.
only talk about
Okay.
how we see it, how we feel it, how we
That's right.
experience it, but we can't truly define it.
Right.
Yeah. And
good.
we're
Very
thinking
well
of
stated.
I'm thinking of the
First Michael,
crow.
then Lynn.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
that's all.
I just since
Okay.
you brought up the Sudoku box a little while ago,
Okay.
so I wanted to comment on that. The box has no value
Hmm.
whatsoever. until you put tzedakah into it. Then it becomes valuable. But the one who has, the one who's righteous was the rabbi who came to my parents' home and put the box there. That rabbi had a higher calling when he did that. But until the money hits the box has no value. That's the way I see it.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Yes, Lynn.
Yeah, I was just going to add to Rabbi Norm's point of the quote, and I don't remember the context. One of the rabbis will remember. Shall not the Lord, the God of justice, do justly? It was somebody. It was either Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Shall, you know,
right.
yeah. So, in other words,
But
if you're
that's
supposed to be the
mishpat.
God of justice, you know, like how can you, in our view, how is this just to wipe out,
Right.
you know, an entire population? So we're always running up against this problem of describing an attribute to God and then understand how it applies in the real world. It doesn't always match.
Right.
But it
That's
says
right.
mishpat, Lynn. It doesn't say tzedek.
Mishpat, yeah.
Right.
Any other ideas?
Now let's go to that box. We call it tzedakah. Why do we call it tzedakah? Where is the justice there? In my mind, is justice because the reason to send that money for brides that cannot pay, to bring hostages back. So that's the issue of the tzedek. And that's why we call it tzedakah. We don't call it, like the pushke of the Keren Kayemet, just put money so we can buy more trees. This is tzedakah to balance those that cannot afford. So the congregation gives money for that. So the reason to call it tzedakah, that's the box of tzedakah. So justice is to create a situation that everyone can get almost the same thing or be able to get the same things.
Right. Or to obtain, simple things, clothing, food, shelter, things like that. It's a very important concept in Judaism. Now, it has been said, there's a lot about sacrifice, bringing sacrifices to the temple. I forget, I wanted to attribute it to Rashi, but I may be very wrong, that charity it is more important than bringing sacrifices to the temple.
That's Jeremiah or
Is
Isaiah.
it Jeremiah?
One of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
A little earlier than Rashi.
Quite a bit. Okay. But any comments about that? That charity is more important than bringing a sacrifice to the temple.
In some ways, they're synonymous, aren't they? If you, it depends on how you define sacrifice, but the sacrifice being the giving up of something of value to someone else. So the act of charity is in effect a form of sacrifice, is it not?
Yes. But what is the difference
Yes,
between?
if we layer on the way we usually hear the word sacrifice,
Right.
but the sacrificial system of the Bible were also, it wasn't just charitable giving, it was also asking forgiveness, and it was also giving praise, and it was, and it had those other factors which we no longer identify with sacrifice, but they did.
Okay.
Why would, what, any other discussion?
Well,
Well, the
just that we have,
The rabbi was alluding to it. Yes, go ahead. Yes, two people were trying to talk at the same time. And I
Lynn,
don't, just raise hands, whoever wanted to speak. And
okay.
okay,
I,
let
I
me
was just
call
gonna,
on Lynn and then you, Michael. Okay.
I was just gonna point out the difference between using the word charity as a translation for tzedakah and righteousness. And traditionally, we have added the charity translation, but
Mm-hmm.
traditionally it wasn't there. That giving was not called charity; it was the right thing to do.
It was the right thing to do.
It's not like out of the goodness, only out of the goodness of your heart, even if you feel like it. No, there are people in this society who don't have food or shelter or medical care or what they need. And it's the right thing to give to them. It's not just because you're moved emotionally and you're going to give charity to
Right.
the poor ones. No, it's sort of it puts the whole process into a different framework to say this is just the right thing.
Yeah.
I just
That is
think of
correct.
Maimonides' ladder, which sort of breaks down the emotional steps. Like the most
Mhm.
pure form of righteousness is giving anonymously,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whereas a lower form is whether the person knows who's giving, or or you don't know who you're giving to, or there's like eight steps in the ladder, because it was so important to break down understanding your emotional attachment and separating it from the righteousness aspect.
Very good. Very good. Michael?
that's what I was going to say, Lynn. It's the right thing, or it's the righteous thing, because it's a very high uh, procedure that you're doing. So it's righteous. It's also, I believe, the central part of Judaism, tzedakah, to give to charity. And the reason that you can that that you would know that I would know that is because the opening of Yom Kippur is the donating of money or charity uh, that demonstrates the importance of that. And when you donate, it's something that you have worked for. You have worked for your money, and you're giving part of that
Mhm.
work to someone else. You worked for someone else, and you give it. And so
The
that's
sacrifice.
That so these words are sometimes used interchangeably, but they do, as Lynn is pointing out, they do have certain connotations when you go to back to the Hebrew words. Yes, yes, Marianne. Marianne, you're muted.
Sorry. I have a question. I think a lot of this depends upon your personal values. I am not ever going to donate money or anything to an abortion clinic. However, I will donate to an adoption program. So am I being charitable or am I not being charitable based upon my ethics and my values? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, if I
You
have
betcha.
$10, do I
And
go
that
kill the
happens to
kid with
everyone.
$10 or do I
That's right.
bless you with a child
That's right.
with this $10? So I think a lot of it has to do when I get into my own heart. Where am I going to give my time, my attention, my money. Where am I going to do this?
So the next question.
And that's it. Can I just
Sure.
add? I mean, I think that little phrase is the most appropriate and poignant. As I give according to my own heart,
Yes.
not according to tax deductibility, but
Right.
according to my sense of values and how I personally interpret. And no one else can tell me what is appropriate to my heart.
Right. So we've spoken about different types of justice, okay, at different levels, depending how we want to look at that. Is there, are there different levels to righteousness, or is it more universal? Or does it depend on how we see it? Just like we had in the discussion about justice.
I think it goes all the way back to what Marty was saying right at the very beginning, and that in death so many years ago now, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is actually teaching us exactly what we're talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost as if she's here with us right now.
Thank you. Yes, I hope so.
Be
Yes,
nice.
yes, John. John, why you had your hand up?
Well, yeah, I did. I mean, and I kind of lost my train of thought, but let it pass for now. It'll come back. I'm having a
Okay.
seizure moment.
When you do it, raise two hands, and we'll
Okay.
definitely go
There
over
you
to
go.
you. Okay. So there's several things from this discussion seem to come out. One of which is that it depends on an individual's values. But doesn't society have values?
But not all society.
Okay, John
Yeah.
just put up his two hands.
Okay, your turn, John.
My thought was, with respect to, I'll go back to the abortion clinic analogy or example.
Yeah.
I totally concur with the notion that we give from our heart only. We do what's good within our heart. The other side of that coin, however, is we also have to respect that there are others who may not agree. And we have to be careful that we don't get so caught up in what's in our heart that we begin to disrespect what is in the hearts of others.
Yeah.
I think that's what I wanted to try to get to.
It's another excellent point. Okay, now I think, okay, Rabbi, your input now.
Thank you. This may take us into a different
It's all right.
side conversation.
That happens all the time.
Yeah. Okay. To the best of my understanding, when you talk about the title or the description or the adjective of a tzaddik, someone who's righteous, okay, Jewish tradition, and certainly through the Hasidic, all the legends and the stories and whatever, is someone who claims to be a tzaddik cannot be a tzaddik.
That's right.
Okay. A tzaddik, a righteous person, doesn't know that he or she is a righteous person.
Right.
And is not behaving or doing anything in their lives in order to gain that particular title or honorific. To be a tzaddik is only added after that person's death. Now,
I understand.
It's probably written down somewhere, not as halacha, but just as an overriding principle. But I'm fairly certain that that's the pattern So when it comes to talking about someone who is or was a tzaddik, if you claim to be a tzaddik, that automatically disqualifies you
Yeah.
from being a tzaddik.
So I'm going to ask the question, why does it disqualify you? And this is a very important thing. Go ahead, Rabbi.
Well, let's start with humility.
Melody.
That's right.
Mm.
Exactly. And
I'm-
yes, Rabbi Murray.
Well,
And
it's not
then
just
Lynn.
humility, is to do something lishmo, to do it just for the sake of doing it
Doing it.
and not for the sake of gaining anything,
Right.
what it does. I'll go back to the people that are righteous and they are honored for that because they saved Jews during the war. I mean, they didn't do it to gain anything, but because they were righteous. And it's true, they're recognized after they disappeared. But the appreciation is above and beyond of this righteous person.
It's a compelling way to live.
Okay.
You're,
All right. Okay, Michael, finish your thought. That Lynn had her hand up and
Oh.
Donna had their hand up.
Okay, I'll wait. Go ahead, Lynn.
Okay.
I was just going to give an example. Because one of the core Musar texts is called Misiyat Yesharim by Moses Chaim Luzzatto. And although it's about what he calls people who study Musar are on the path of becoming a tzaddik. But the title is Yesharim, like the straight, or it's the upright, sometimes translated as the upright. He avoids using that term, tzaddik. So there are ways of you can maybe say I strive to be Yesharim, or I'm on the path of tzaddik. And then beyond, he gives examples of people who what the behavior is as a tzaddik. And then there's a goal beyond tzaddik, which is chesed, which is basically sometimes translated as saint. Like there's another level of chesed, of tzaddik. But yes, those who are don't claim to be.
Correct.
And the proof text is also from the liturgies, or zaru alat tzaddik ul yishrei lev simcha. The light is sown. Light is the path towards righteousness, and those who are upright in heart, who find fulfillment and joy. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Yes, Michael. And then Donna.
The righteous, there's no forethought. There's no forethought in what the righteous do. They do it on a regular basis without thinking about it.
Right.
That's just the way they live. And they're recognized, as the rabbi said, they are only recognized by others after death.
Very good. Thank you. Donna.
Yeah, mine isn't off subject, but for me, I'm in agreement with what's being discussed. But what do I do with as a human, some things we don't see as righteous justice, or it's not something that's going to be revealed in our lifetime, that there will be justice for wrongs. And so where do we go from there? I don't want to give any current examples, but just by saying that, we pray for hope, acceptance.
You can hope. You can certainly hope.
Yeah. I think hope is, from what I'm reading, I'm a little emotional today. So, but with hope, it's an idea, and I have to believe in that righteousness, however it may be revealed, and that's the thing too. What I think might be righteous is not in alignment with what God sees as righteous. Because of my human quality, in some circumstances, what I would like to have done isn't necessarily what God has intended. So it is that element of faith, that faith and hope, that whatever is going to be revealed is going to be a righteous thing, whether I'm in agreement of it or not. So anyway, that's
another good point. Another very good point. Any other ideas come to mind? I can see some people thinking. Okay, yes, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Sonora lady.
what Donna just said, I think anyway, the way I'm seeing this is it depends upon my personal values. Uh, if I think that justice was not served because I did not get my way, getting what I want, doesn't mean that it wasn't done. It just means I didn't get what I want. It didn't turn out the way I thought it should. So to put the pride and the ego out of the outcome, whether I want to accept it or not accept it, and I don't have to like it, I just have to accept that it is the reality. No, I don't have to agree with it, anything else. That's where it gets more difficult, that each person then has to look into their own heart and their own conscience and decide, is this right or is this not right, but I don't have to accept it, and they don't have to accept my thinking about it either. So I think it's just a very personal issue on doing, and we all know right from wrong.
I,
We know right from wrong by the time we're through. Uh, Either we carry through with it or we don't.
you mentioned something that I wanted to also bring up because we're not the only group of people who discuss this. And Rabbi Bradley Shavit Artson, and he has a an essay or a sermon who writes about this, and he points out that some groups of people, it's altogether different, and he makes the statement that our concepts of justice are a little different, for example, than the Buddhist ideal of a bodhisattva, an enlightened being who is so pure that he can step over a beggar without remorse. It is different than what we advocate in Judaism.
I just want to say Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I have to go do something. Thank you, Marty.
Okay,
Thank you.
Shabbat
okay.
shalom,
Thank you.
Marianne.
Take care,
Thank you,
Marianne.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. So it you know this is a different idealism.
Marty, can you say that again? I'm
Yeah.
confused.
He states a passion for justice for the poor, the weak, and the despised are critical in the uh, Hebrew Bible. Unlike the Buddhist ideal of bodhisattva, an enlightened being who is so pure that he can step over a beggar without remorse. In other words, you can divorce yourself of all emotion.
That's
My
considered
understanding,
that's considered an enlightened being?
That's
Yeah.
strange.
It is strange. That's why I'm
Right.
quoting this. Okay.
This
So
is
you
not
go
my
ahead. You
understanding.
tell me. Go ahead, Lynn.
This is not my understanding of a bodhisattva, which a bodhisattva takes a vow to work for the uplifting of all beings,
That's right.
and avoids going into full enlightenment because he's working for the benefit of all beings. It's somebody who's totally dedicated
That
to
was
is
my
giving
understanding.
is putting
So
off his own enlightenment
that's right.
immersion to work for the benefit of all beings. So that's not my understanding
There you
of
go.
bodhisattva.
Okay. So I'm just saying that here's someone who, makes that statement, but I was amazed when I saw it too, and I wanted to bring it out that it's not the traditional way in which that I've seen it in the Buddhists, how they practice. But anyway, so we shouldn't think we're so pure. I think it's more important to take a different message from this, that we shouldn't think of ourselves as being so knowledgeable, so pure, that we can divorce ourselves from anything else in the world.
I think
Okay.
that's the message.
And I think that is a more important message, that we should shy away from that, and and rabbis and others, is this what Tikkun Olam is about?
I'm not
Well,
sure.
you can say that justice is a kind of tikkun olam. Now, if we look for the statue in front of the, I don't know where, the Supreme Court or one of the courts, we have this lady that doesn't see the difference
Mhm.
of people, but also holding a balance that's balanced,
Mm-hmm.
which means that everyone is equal in the mishpat. It doesn't go with what are your personal values. I mean, Marianne was saying, well, it depends on your personal values and you need to. No, there is a mishpat, there is a law and needs to be followed. If you don't agree with the law, you can go to the Supreme Court. I mean, but it's about following the law. It's not about, okay, I'll do only what my priorities are. That's in donation, yes, but not in following the law. It's not an issue of justice. It's nothing to do justice to be pro-life or pro-abortion. If the law now is against abortion, I can look how I can change that law, not how in any other way. There is a system. And this that we're following here now, it's a system. And our system is there is a law, you should follow it because that's the right thing to do, that's the balancing to do, that's the equalizer that we have to pursue. It doesn't say, if you believe in this mishpat, you follow.
Okay. Next question. We run into this. There's a reset every certain numbers of years. Okay. And so the question, what is it? In every 50,
Jubilee is every 50 years. Yeah.
50 years. Okay. And does that, so what happens to the wealth that may have been amassed by the individual?
What individual?
Well, let's say the owner of slaves, and he has to let the slaves go free. What happens when he's growing crops? Okay, there are rules and regulations about when to lay a field lie fallow. And so he's not really making any money during that time period.
What about the Ten Commandments?
So is the law, well,
It's a
is the law,
commandment.
so now you bring up an interesting point, Rabbi Mary. But what happens to people in society, in the entire Israelite society, that when do they still hold on to what they have gained, or are they to turn that over as well? That's not, it may be just, but it isn't charity. Okay. So I don't know.
It's socialism. Yeah, or
Well,
Yeah,
this is the
well,
thing. There are
right.
lots of different
right.
Equalized.
things.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And so, but
But there
everything
were, I
is
mean,
reset.
in its implementation, and that goes into very, technical stuff in Talmud or whatever. But in the implementation, there certainly was allowance for each individual or farmer or whatever to maintain his or her own dignity. It's not like everyone went back to square one.
Right.
Okay. You didn't have to give up everything.
Okay. Okay.
During one's lifetime.
Well, at
Right.
that time,
Yeah.
50 years, that's a super long life.
Yeah. In those days. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Michael.
There's one word missing from the whole conversation, and maybe it's okay, probably is, but the word is fairness.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
That is very
A
good.
good
Very
word.
good, Michael.
Thank you.
It's excellent because you can have the same debate we had about justice, the same debate we've had about due justice, fairness. Okay, it involves this too. What is fair? And we have to come up with and you can draw parallel, the same discussions we've been having
Well,
also
I
dovetails into this.
I could offer this that on somebody commits a terrible crime, and on a small technicality of the law, the lawyer can argue, well, this wasn't read to the offender at the time of the arrest,
Mhm.
so we have
Oh,
to,
something like that, sure.
and so you call that fair? You call that justice? So it's just so I thought that came to mind.
Okay.
I want to go back a little bit to what Marty was saying about the Buddhist. I think there is a difference between the enlightened Buddhist stepping over the beggar and the enlightened Buddhist stepping on top of the beggar. One of them, I think a lot of us do, as we're driving around and there are beggars at street corners, we drive right by them, which is similar to what you were saying. But if that person, but we don't run that person over. So I think there's a difference, and I wanted to bring that up.
Okay. Thank you.
Regarding fair, look at siblings. They all the time said, the law, it's not
Right.
fair, it's not fair. What they mean is that they want to get what the other got. In Hebrew, in modern Hebrew, I cannot think of a word fair, but זה לא צודק. It's not.
It has nothing to do with it.
There is
It's not
a
just.
phrase in There is a phrase in Hebrew, zelo fair.
The law fair.
It's what they say, zelo fair.
Good, Marie. Yes, yes, it's not fair. But if we want, if they know some Hebrew, they'll say the Lord tzodek, you know. But it's not fair. That's the
Although
most common
Zelot
one.
Sadek it is more, I think that's not correct. Atat
Okay.
Sadek is, you're not correct. And then also, going using actually with whether it's Michael David's example, Tzadik can also be innocent or someone who's acquitted in the court of justice.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's right.
So we've, any other comments?
I'm struck.
Yes, this was our, some of you have met her. This was our daughter Karen's bat mitzvah portion. So
Oh,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
So they stay till night, huh?
so it brings back some memories. So so is this what justice you shall you pursue? Is is this what it means?
What does mean pursue? Can you explain to me exactly the meaning pursue?
Seek. Seek and you shall find.
Well, in Hebrew, it's not seek.
Well, what's a rodef shalom?
It's looking for, running
Oh, okay,
after.
that's the same.
Okay,
Ani
all right.
rodef acharei.
That's right. So
Striving for.
No.
Okay. I mean, it's perfectly legitimate to say striving for, perfectly
Yeah.
legitimate, but
Right.
yeah.
with
Right.
a little more urgency, if you will, rather than just a search.
Well, it's not search. Is in my mind is justice is running away, and you should follow to catch it.
Okay.
Okay, that's a
It,
nice brush.
that's one way of looking at it. Not that it's running away, but it's a goal to achieve. I would look at it that it's a goal, and we're on a path to try to find the right way to get to that goal.
Catch it.
Right.
Yeah,
And of course, the classical is you have to pursue, or whatever verb you want to strive for or follow after. You have to run after. You have to pursue it justly.
Could
right.
it, could it
You have to
also
maintain justice in your search for justice.
could it also mean treating everybody equally? Could that possibly be a
Mm.
Well,
Well, that's why justice is
You
blindfold.
and you and you and you and you and you
Yeah,
and you and you. Right. Mhm.
yeah,
the other thing is that it's an active thing that you have to do. You
right.
don't have to sit and wait for justice. You have to go and look for it and catch it and pursue it.
In our final 5 minutes, so is it, so we want to pursue justice. We want to go after to strive to get to the ideal just answer. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that every decision will be perfect. If you think about the different sides in any conflict that have to be done, what is really a just approach to this? Is Solomon's threatening to take a sword to a baby? Is that the only way that justice could have been decided? So so it, so because of this, uh,
Marty?
is this, I was going to ask if, is this also a metaphor? That, yes, not just physical justice, but is this the concept of justice to use your brain to come up with all of this in all of your interactions? Because it doesn't it follows the discussion about the magistrates and all that, the judges, but how about the rest of the population?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to bring that up, at least point that out, that
Okay,
this comes up in as this comes up in the context of the shoftim v'shotrim, of the judges and the magistrates,
right.
the officers, or whatever. But we, meaning the Jewish people, historically have always said, oh, this is the ideal for, but it's not just for them. It's the ideal for them who are put into this most difficult situation of
Yes.
always trying to be impartial, always trying to, judge fairly, et cetera, et cetera. And how much the more so then for us,
Hmm.
if that's what's expected of them, then how much the more so of us.
Right.
But also, what we tend to forget, same thing like in commandment number 5 of the 10 Commandments, is that there's a reward attached to here.
Only one.
Yes, there is.
Right, right. Okay. Yeah, justice, justice, so you pursue that you may thrive and occupy the land.
That's right. That's
Okay, because so get used to living in this kind of a, again, society, in this kind, and da, 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 because that's what God, that's what I want for the land that I am taking you to.
that's right. Well, that's it. That's the context within which
Mhm.
it's written. So there's much more to this than what first meets the eye, and that's why I wanted us to have this discussion. And I want to thank everyone for their contributions. And uh, yeah, that's all I have to say on it. Thank you so much.
Thank
A
you,
couple of
Marty.
couple of announcements, if I may.
Please.
Okay. One is I want to say welcome, and especially in refuah shlema to Donna. Had a tough week. I'm glad you're
Yeah.
strong enough to be able to join us. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Um, I won't be
Thank
able
you.
to be with you for a couple of weeks. Next
No.
Saturday, I'm in balmy, warm Detroit for for a for a family bar mitzvah. Then the following Saturday morning, we have services at the temple,
Right.
and then the week after that, the 22nd, I believe, February 22nd, is an invitation. Some of you may know the name Josh Nelson. Josh Nelson is another one of the young, although he's not quite so young, he's probably close to 50 by now, but of the young, very, very talented, creative Jewish musical liturgy
Yeah.
writers, composers. He's a Berkeley graduate in classical piano, does jazz work on guitar and a number of other instruments, but has also composed not as many as Debbie Friedman or some of the others, but a lot of new music that has been picked up by many Reformed, Conservative, Reconstructionist
Oh,
congregations through in North America and throughout the world. Anyway, he's going to be helping to lead services at Temple Kolami in
follow
Tucson
me. Hmm.
Okay.
on the Friday night and the Saturday morning. We have a service at Beth Shalom on Friday night, but I'm going to invite anybody who wants to come with me up to see Josh. I knew him when he was a kid, but to see him at the Kolami service on Saturday morning, the 22nd. So I'll have to apologize that I won't be with Torah study that morning also.
Okay. We'll miss
Okay.
you.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Well, I have nothing more to add, and thank you. I just want to reiterate, thank you, everyone, for a very lively discussion.
Thank you
Mhm.
very much.
Welcome.
Thank
It's
you.
good.
Shabbat shalom,
So,
everyone.
Shabbat
Shalom.
shalom,
Shabbat
everyone.
shalom.
Good to
Bye-bye.
see everybody.
Thank you, Marty.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.